Welcome back to another week of Just Jossin. I'm one half of the dynamic duo, Sabrina Hannon.
And I'm Jasmine Heron. This week is a very special mini episode. We are going to be kind of recapping seasons 1 and 2 and what we've loved about it and what we hated about it. And,
All that jazz.
yep.
And maybe giving it some like superlative type things as we go along. But yeah, I mean we've just come off of an emotional roller coaster in season 2. A lot's happened. And before diving into season 3, which does not really slow down with those emotional punches, we figured this would be a nice little break. And also, instead of having an hour and a half episode, maybe it'd be like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Who knows? All right. Your favorite couple from seasons 1 and 2?
Oh, I mean, so it kind of it's a toss up. Like I loved Jenny and Giles. Like Jenny and Giles just had such a Giles is so cute when he's in love.
Mhm.
But I also don't think their relationship was entirely healthy. It was started based on a lie.
Mhm.
Um, we've got Xander and Cordelia, and that's just so unhealthy. Although very much a high school relationship. Like
It's a lust fest.
it's a lust fest. I love Angel and Buffy, but it's not, it's a paranormal romance relationship. So that's the
There's not a lot of substance really to the relationship when you're older rewatching.
yep, yep. It's definitely like I'm 16 and I'm in love. Like I think yeah, it's gotta be Oz
Willow
and
and Oz.
Oz and
Mhm.
I mean, they have the quintessential like high school romance, but with emotional maturity.
Mhm. And I don't think it's no shocker, I think, to anyone who's been listening to these episodes that we were going to fall, both of us, on Oz and Willow,
Mm-hmm.
because we gush so much. Also, I just love Seth Green as a person, as an actor, and him and so Seth Green and Alyssa Hannigan or Allison Hannigan had worked together previously.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually said when he got hired onto the show, he was excited to work with her again. Um, so, they have a lot of chemistry. They kind of grew up together. So,
Yep.
and it reads very well on screen. And I also love that at times they are, because Seth Green's constantly changing his hair color, but they are, the gingers in love.
That's a good
Where's
way to.
that spinoff?
Yep.
Gingers in Love.
Um, I I was definitely like the awkward, nerdy girl in high school. And as much as I wish that I could have been the Buffy, I know I was the Willow. I was definitely the Willow in high school. I
You were
was
too outspoken to be the Willow. You were like if Willow and Cordelia had a baby,
okay. Okay.
but like the good parts of Cordelia, not the mean parts.
Well, no, I think that I just put on my resolve face a
Mm.
lot sooner. Have you noticed that every time um, Buffy disappears, like from the group, Willow is the one that takes over as like leader of the group?
Mhm.
Um, I think that's what happened. Was I in high school? I was Willow with resolve face.
um, yeah, I don't know who I would have been in high school because I wasn't like I was smart, but I wasn't like shy like Willow. I wasn't mean like Cordelia. I was a little crazy, so but not Drusilla crazy. And as much as I would love to say I was Buffy, because that's the dream, except for, the expulsion. I don't know. I don't. my leadership skills were not that strong back
Yeah.
then. So I don't know. I guess I was everyone in a blender.
Mm-hmm.
So I also wasn't as cool as Oz.
Not as cool as Oz.
Hmm. No one's as cool as Oz in real life.
He's just so chill. I started watching Crazy Ex-Girlfriend because you suggested it to me.
Mhm.
And he was just in an episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, it's Seth Green.
Literally, anytime he shows up on something, and it's true for basically any Buffy character, I go, ee! And start like jumping up and down on like whatever I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
It's such an exciting moment. So, like, in How I Met Your Mother, when watching, well, obviously Willow is a main character, but then a lot of Buffy people come on in.
Uh-huh.
And when we see, I forget what it's something weather, but Wesley, who is, you know, Willow's real life husband,
Mm-hmm.
on there, I was just like, yeah, 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 yeah. He's such a fun character.
Yeah, there were just so many like, cute relationships in season 2.
Mhm.
You know, I was not a fan of Ted and Joyce. Yeah.
No.
No,
And
what?
Spike and Drew is a little too manipulative.
So I love the way that Spike loves Drew. I do not love the way that Drew loves
Yeah.
Spike.
And even like, ooh, at the end there when he like just forces her to do what he wants
Yep.
by, you know, choking her out and taking
Mhm.
her away. That's not so cool either. Um it's yeah. Angel and Drew is also really screwed up. Um yeah. What was your favorite non-romantic relationship?
Non-romantic relationship. Giles and Xander.
I mean, it's a good comedy shtick, those two. Like, if you want some good insults, just listen to the stuff that Giles says to
To Xander.
Xander, yeah. Um, I really love Giles and Buffy's relationship.
Mhm.
But I also love Buffy and Willow's.
Yes, yes. The fact that they
It's,
have a landline and they call each other on their landlines.
mhm.
I've had.
It's a true friendship.
Mhm. I agree.
Alrighty, and let's see here. Oh, sorry, I skipped right. Oh, so which romantic relationship was the most problematic, which we've touched on, but the most. Probably, oh, I mean, that one's really tough because I was gonna be like, well, clearly it's Xander and Cordelia. And then I was like, but Angel and Buffy, but Spike and Drusilla. I w- even with how screwed up Giles and Jenny are, I would eliminate them
Yeah.
from the
They,
toxic thing.
they are adults. They end up communicating with each other,
Mhm.
and sometimes people do have hidden pasts that they,
It's kind of
at
like,
what point in the relationship
yeah.
do you say, oh, hey, my family was basically a cult?
Hmm. And I mean, kind of also with Jenny, because it's still act like it's basically like she's in the CIA.
Yeah.
Only her family is the CIA.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, so she was brought up to lie about this. Um, the fact that she's not comfortable or happy about doing it to Giles, I think, says
Hmm.
something about her. But yeah, the other relationships, though, it's so funny because it's so easy to say the healthiest relationship, but the worst. Whew. Uh,
And again,
yeah,
I
Drusilla.
don't I don't like Xander and Cordelia as a relationship, but I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with just having like a lusty catty relationship when you're in high school. You
Mhm.
know, that is a high school boy and a high school girl being snappy with each other.
And I would definitely argue that Xander makes Cordelia a better person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for all of Xander's faults, he makes her a more he's really what humanizes her for the audience,
Yep.
and makes her better. She starts having relationships that are deeper, not with him, but with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And so then we've got, you know, Spike and Drusilla. And they are demons. Like, they don't have souls. So all the garbage that they put each other through, like, you have to view through the lens of they don't have souls. They are essentially just id, you know, and if they are just id, the way that they act with each other, it gets a pass. I don't know if I want to say gets a pass, but like, you can't emulate that relationship as a human with a soul, thinking that that's a healthy relationship. But that might be considered a healthy relationship for two demons.
I mean, so you get into people who are psychopaths and sociopaths, and I read a lot of true crime. So I do feel like there probably are people, teenagers especially, that emulate that relationship, that really like it. Um, I mean, other than that incident where Spike chokes her out,
Strangles, doesn't choke.
strangles her,
Strangles.
which is not good. He he's a pretty good partner, right? Like, he's consistently caring. He he thinks of her first a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Drusilla's a terrible partner. Like, she's just awful. Like, she lives for the drama of the relationship. She I think might be one of the few times we see um an abusive female partner, like, that is very clearly emotionally abusive on Buffy,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe on Angel as well. Oh, hello, Scarlet. Yes.
Oh, I mean, we see Lila in
Oh, yeah,
Angel, so we could talk about abusive female partners then.
that's true.
Hello, kitten.
Yeah, she was sitting in a sunbeam and has decided to join now. She's purring, but, giving you her back.
Yes.
um, but I think probably Angel and Buffy is the most problematic
They talk
because he's
Yeah, they talk about it being the great love. The great love, because she's the slayer and he's a vampire, but he is 241 years old.
mhm.
Like,
Even time with his soul, as we discussed, he's like still 100.
yep, yep. And even as being part of, like, you know, society, he was 24 when he was turned and she's 16. Like,
Yeah,
that's still not okay.
gross. That's still gross.
Yeah, I just, you know, and as much as I want to root for, you know, the primary relationship, the love relationship. When you look at it, especially I, as looking at it now as an adult, I still don't think I'm an adult, but you know,
Mhm.
as an adult, I look at it and I just think, no, that is not a, a healthy relationship for young adults to view or want to emulate.
And again, like, I don't see a lot of substance in their relationship, like, looking back, which is probably one of the reasons why I don't like the when Buffy and Spike are together thing. So when people are like, "Are you Team Spike or Team Angel?"
Mhm.
I don't like Buffy with either of them. I love when Spike and Angel are a comic duo. Like, I love all of that.
Mhm.
Um, but if I had to, I'd probably still pick Spike. Um, because they have, I don't want to say more in common, but they have a relationship that's built on more than him trying to be her savior.
Yes.
Just gonna say it.
Mhm.
Um, that being said, David Boreanaz is a foxy, foxy man, so I'm just I wish that he would wear the leather pants again.
Yes.
Who is your crush throughout these 2 seasons? And is it different than when you were a teenager?
Oh, well, for these 2 seasons, I was definitely all about Angel. Like, oh, Angel. David Boreanaz was all about
Mhm,
that. Now it is so Oz or Giles. Like,
mhm,
love me a nerdy man. But um yeah, and I do also recognize my attraction to Buffy. Where when I was younger, I was like, well, I just want to be her, not realizing that there was definitely more to it
mhm,
than just wanting to be her.
mhm. I think so. I was like when I was a teenager, I was definitely all about Angel and Spike. Um as an adult now, I will say like I am not really attracted to Angel's personality at all. I like if he wasn't a sadistic killer, I would I like what Angelus says. Like I like his lines. I like how he's punchy. Um, not dating material at all.
Yep.
But I definitely appreciate him more more now, which maybe I should go to therapy about that. um, still love Spike. So I really liked Xander in when like as a high schooler. What are you doing, Cat? Um, but he not now. Like why he's become very problematic. It evens out after a little bit. Don't you jump into my iced tea. Um, but yeah, Oz. I don't find Giles like sexy time.
Oh,
I've always loved Giles, but I've always loved him like a father figure.
oh, once I start hearing him singing, I'm just like, Ripper, Ripper.
I'll rip my clothes off.
Yeah, and so I guess like I want to provide a like safe mental space for fantasy crushes as opposed to like real life acknowledgments. And so like, oh, I would love to have some time with Spike, except
Mm,
like fantasy, like fan fiction Spike, not if he were a real person.
mhm.
And in like,
A
or if I were
psychotic killer.
what?
A psychotic killer.
Yeah, like the idealized, fantasizing, like fetishy, ideal. It would be Angelus and Spike and Drusilla, and but you know, when you're trying to view it from the like, oh well, who would you actually want to be in a relationship with? And then I say Willow.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but I was the Willow in high school, so I
You just want to date
guess
yourself, you narcissist.
just want to date myself.
um, yeah, no, like, because honestly, with all the characters, Cordelia and Xander are the only ones that aren't somehow mystical at this point. I mean, even Giles, with his dabbling in the black arts, you can toss him into the mystical
Mm-hmm.
throw pillow section. I don't know. I wasn't looking for the word throw pillow, but that's what I thought of and came out of my mouth. Grab bag. That's what I was going for. Mystical grab bag. Throw pillow. Uh, but so which episode gave you the most feels?
I mean, yes, there are feelings for Becoming Part 2. Becoming Part 2 does have a lot of emotion to it. But I think that the one is when Jenny Calendar dies.
Hmm. Yeah.
I, yeah. the oh yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Yep.
um,
Definitely. I agree. It's also out of the 2 seasons, that is my favorite episode. Because apparently I like emotional pain. But there, I don't know, that episode is just so well done. And I love their narration. Or no, yeah, passions. Yeah, I love the narration. Um, I just love how like the title, and Joss Whedon does this a lot, but like the title for this one just so beautifully goes with that entire episode.
yeah.
Um, just love it. Just love it.
And I mean, so like there are other episodes that give feels. Um, for example, Prophecy Girl, when Buffy gives her like little monologue
Mhm.
about, is it going to hurt? Does your book say is it going to hurt? And then also when Willow is talking about how, like, you know, they came into our world, like it wasn't our world anymore. They took
Mhm.
it. So there's some great emotional scenes there, but then again, I do think the one that gave me the most feels was
Because it's the first time we have one of our more main characters killed and taken from us. Like we've lost people at the hellmouth before, but this is, a Scooby. It's
yep,
different.
yep.
Um, and the fact that she was just starting to have that emotional redemption with
Mhm.
Giles just really stabs it and twists that knife into you.
Mhm.
Like, thanks, Joss Whedon. You kicked us while we were down.
He likes to do that a lot.
He
The
does.
moment you start to really love a character, he will he'll cut them from you.
And especially when there's still plenty of story to tell with them.
Yep.
Because that's how life is, right? Like, it's not like, well, based on how your life's been going, clearly your
Now,
story is about to end at 32, 30, however old Jenny Calendar's supposed to be.
yep. Younger than us now.
Maybe, yeah.
Younger than me now.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think we really talked about this. There is an age difference with Jenny and Giles, but they're adulty adults. Like,
Mhm.
they're free to make those decisions. I do think it's creepy when someone's in like their 70s and they're dating a 20 something year old or whatnot, but
So I
yeah,
I heard the formula is half your age plus 7 is
I've heard that as well.
is the bound, like is the lowest bound. So like if you say someone's 40, the lowest bound is 27. And I can see that. Like I can see that. I can see, that
for
is
for me, if you can't tell me where you were on 9/11 at this point, you're too young for me. That is, and I'm sure other generations were like that. Like, if you can't tell me where you were when JFK was shot.
uh-huh. Well, I mean, so my husband is older than me,
Mhm.
and by a decent chunk.
Not that much.
8 years.
Yeah, it's not that much.
But when we first started dating 10 years ago, that 8 years was a much bigger difference. So
I went through a phase where I was like solely dating guys who were 10 years older than me, so I never saw. I was in my 20s, so I never saw
and now you're
a
dating someone
problem.
who's a little younger than you?
Um, Nam is like, I don't know, 7 months younger, 9 months younger than I am.
You cradle robber.
Hmm. I mean, I've dated guys who were younger than me before, but like I don't talk to that many people who are younger than me to begin with. Like, if you're under 25, I probably have nothing to say to you. As I alienate the audience. I mean, that's not like, I do have a couple of friends who are coworkers who are under 25 and we do have things in common, but I think under 25 your personality, like your brain doesn't know that you can die yet. So there's just a difference in what you find important.
So I spent a large chunk of time working in universities, and working in universities with 18 to 22-year-olds, or 17 to 22-year-olds. It's this weird, situation where you meet some people who are very mature and some people who just aren't. And I used to tell people that my job was I was going to drag them into adulthood kicking and screaming if I had to. Like, this is it.
I feel like you are Giles now.
It was like, I'm going to help you be a fully functioning member of society, whether you like it or not.
Definitely Giles. Yeah. So if you had to give out a superlative for most changed between when we met them, whether they appeared in season 2 or season 1, to where they are now, who would you give that superlative to?
Willow.
Solid choice. Solid choice.
Because I feel like she has really started to blossom. And she's coming into herself. She's finding that steely inner backbone, where she started off as this shy, picked upon specifically by Cordelia girl who, mooned constantly over Xander.
Mm-hmm.
And, over the seasons, she's now turned him down for going to dances, said, no, I'm not going to be your consolation prize, has, moved on, moved up socially, where she has found a niche for herself and oftentimes becomes the leader of the pack or the leader of the group. And when, things are going crazy, she steps in and she yells at Giles and Angel at one point. Angel's 241 and Giles is a teacher, and she's so
not only that, Angel's a vampire. There's soul or no soul, he's still that threat is still there.
Yep. So I think that she found a lot of inner resolve. She's really, I love Allison Hannigan and I love Willow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Willow certainly. Also, I think Cordelia has to enter that conversation because she's not the vapid idiot that she once was. Now she has some good lines. She just delivers truths now, and she's
Tax is just not saying true stuff.
Huh?
She says Tax is just not saying true stuff.
True stuff, yep. And she's nicer, but not unbelievably so. They're lightening her up basically to eventually be a nice human being, which I think is something that you do see throughout high school with some folks. I'm thinking back to my own high school experience, there were definitely some girls specifically that I can think of who had that real mean girl thing going on freshman year, but by senior year it had cooled down because part of your brain kicks in and you're this doesn't matter. I'm leaving this place in a few short months and none of this is going to matter anymore. So, and I mean, they're juniors now, so that could be part of it too, that's kicking in Cordelia's brain. But I think Xander accelerates that. I really do think that Xander makes her a better person. I think that Cordelia knocks some sense into Xander in a lot of ways, because she doesn't let him just say crappy things. And now Willow's not letting him do it so much anymore. And Buffy never was. So he now has people who are holding him accountable, probably for the first time in his life.
Yep.
His parents certainly aren't.
Nope.
And I'm trying. I mean, I mean, Buffy has changed, but like not in the ways that Willow has or that Cordelia has. I mean, you could also, if the end of season 2 didn't happen and Angel was still unjealous, he would get the most changed,
Yep.
hands down. It's like, well, you lost your soul and became a psychotic killer. So you win? That's going to be really hard on your job applications.
Mm-hmm. Oz went from not being a werewolf to being a werewolf.
Mm-hmm. But he handled it in an Oz way. Very
Yep.
cool, calm, and confused about the moon and the thing that Giles did.
Yes. Yep.
Um, Giles has stayed this. There's emotional growth with him. Obviously, we had those episodes where we saw his backstory. We see him drunk, which is not something that you would think you would ever see this fuddy-duddy librarian episode 1.
You also see him violent, or
Oh,
you don't see him violent. His violence is just just off screen.
which makes it so much scarier. So much scarier. Like I wouldn't want to fight Giles. I don't care how old he is. Ripper will rip you to shreds.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
So, yeah. What other questions have we got here?
Let's see. Who would you say is the funniest?
Funniest.
And we can do it with like on their own and then like a comedic duo if you want. Because I think on their own, it's probably Spike. Like he still like says stuff and I know what's coming. I know those lines and I still laugh out loud.
Mm-hmm. Buffy has great lines. Buffy has great. Are there any demons with high cholesterol?
You're gonna laugh about that later. God, Xander and Giles have great banter.
Yep.
I mean, Giles and Cordelia have great banter. Giles also is like a comedic gold mine.
I think it's because he plays the straight man.
Mm-hmm.
he is the British librarian, and so he plays a straight man surrounded by high schoolers.
Even when it's not high schoolers, like
or Snyder.
One of my favorite lines of Giles is it next season or season 4? It's where Joyce gets that mask that she brings home from the gallery, and he's like,
Yes.
"Oh, you like my mask? Isn't it pretty? It raises the dead." As he's driving his like broken down car.
Yep.
One of my favorite lines. Because also like I also have those conversations with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really a shame someone's not filming me in the car when I'm making them.
So what was your favorite episode?
Passions.
Yeah. It's both the most feels and
yeah, it's my favorite by far. I mean, there's other ones that I like, but I really enjoy Passions. It's one I go back to time and time again. Like if I think Buffy, like early Buffy, that's usually that's the first episode that springs to mind.
Yeah.
Like if I think season 1, I think of, Buffy dying. But yeah. How about you? What's your favorite? Oh, wait, Bad Eggs, right? You psycho?
One of my favorites is Bad Eggs. I do love Bad Eggs. It is so ridiculous. And Ted. I just love both of them, and I enjoy John Ritter's performance. I hate Ted, but I love John Ritter's performance. I think I Only Have Eyes for You.
That is a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of funny stuff that happens in
Halloween.
Go Fish.
Halloween is such a good one. Um, yeah, I don't know. There are lots of really good ones.
Yeah.
Lie to Me is a good one. But Bad Eggs, with the creepy tendrils
Mhm.
and the skittering and the sewing, the sewing shears that she uses to stab that thing.
Yeah. I don't think it might be. Um, it might be becoming, I can't remember if it's part one or part two becoming. Um, when Spike is helping, it's part two, I think, when Spike's helping Buffy and he's in like hanging out with Joyce.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I
Part
just
two.
love all of that.
Yep. Yeah, it's part two. And his whole
You,
hello cutie.
mhm.
Hang on, let me go kill this guy.
Yeah. Anything that is Spike heavy throughout Buffy is usually some of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
Because he definitely is one of my favorite characters, and I love it so much when him and Giles are put together. It oh Giles just works so well with everyone. Like you can put him opposite any one character on Buffy, and you're gonna get some good scenes.
Well, do you think that's Giles or do you think that's Anthony Stewart Head? Because he
Oh,
is
I mean, it's Anthony Stewart head, but it's also Giles.
like because
um,
it's the writing, but it's also the acting.
yes, it's definitely a combination. Like if Giles was played by anybody else, he would not be as beloved as he is. He just
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't. I feel that way about all of the characters. Like I would riot if they were recast.
Mm-hmm.
There better not be a reboot. I've heard whisperings of it. Those whisperings can go right to the hellmouth.
Okay.
Seriously, how would you feel if somebody else was Buffy?
Well, because
Willow.
I don't think they were planning on rebooting. I think they were talking about talk how it would be with now all the Slayers, all the potentials.
See, I've heard it both ways, and Michelle Gellar was actually asked who she would want to play Buffy now.
Mm. So,
And she was like, I don't know. I always think that's weird when they ask actors and like, who do you think would play like this character now?
who would who would play you?
Yeah. This iconic role
If
that
I
you're known
get
for.
Julianne Landau to play me,
Surprisingly, Xander might actually come up for after Go Fish.
I should go.
He did
Not
well
Buffy.
in the swim
Not
team.
Buffy.
Well, I mean, obviously, someone without superhuman strength. You have to take the vampires right out of it. Same thing with Buffy
Yep.
and Kendra. I think, were you more devastated when Kendra died or when Jenny Calendar died?
I was more devastated when Jenny Calendar died because they focused more on her death. They did not give Kendra the screen time that she deserved for her death. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally, they kill her and then she's just lying on the floor, and Buffy shows up and then they end it. Like they end it. There's no focus, and so I am devastated at the thought of Kendra's death, but for what they actually depicted, they did not give Kendra, you know, they did not honor the character of Kendra with the death
Mm-hmm.
suit that they gave
Agreed. I would say that like as a child, as however old I was when I saw it, 13, I probably I want to say like I was more upset by Kendra's death
her.
because I could identify more easily with her um and what that would mean for Buffy. Um I also like I wound up seeing season 3 before I saw season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So Buffy's life would have been so much better had Kendra just been the other Slayer and not Faith. Like, so many lives would have been saved. But I mean, I love Faith, kind
Great.
of, some
What?
days.
I love
Depend Depending on the episode. I think it might have been better for Faith's overall mental health if she'd never become a Slayer. Um, but with Buffy, um, when Kendra dies, she loses the one person who understands, like, her sisterhood. Like,
Yep.
yeah, her and Willow are close enough to be sisters, but Willow's never going to truly understand the weight of what Buffy carries.
Yep.
Um, and Buffy learns a lot from Kendra, and Kendra learns a lot from Buffy. They have two completely different styles. They're like chefs who have different specialties,
Yep.
right? I'm
Yep.
gonna go with chef. And they just it's such like the friendship that they could have had and the life Kendra could have had
Yep.
hurt more to me losing that than Jenny Calendar. Um, I and I think I probably still feel this way. Like I'm more sad when Jenny Calendar dies, not because she's dead, but for Giles. Like
Yep.
I'm more upset because of Giles.
Yep.
If Giles wasn't in there, I'd be like, oh, that's sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another teacher has died on the Hellmouth.
Would have thunk it. Like, um, but yeah, that's my spiel.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't know how much more you have to talk about, but I feel like we can kind of wrap this up by saying, what were the big lessons that you learned from season 2? What were the big, you know?
I mean, there's a lot. I think Giles' speech with Buffy, after he finds out how Angel lost his soul, and I'm gonna support you, I'm gonna respect you. That's all you're gonna get from me. Um, that that right there, like that is a huge that speech still resonates with me.
Yes. For me, it's been a lot of like, self-reflection, and that life is not something that happens to you, but a series of, decisions that are being made and consequences of the decisions. And sometimes you don't know what those consequences are going to be. You still have to make decisions based upon the information that you have. Thus, with Prophecy Girl, she could have run away, but she chose not to because she thought that was, saving the world. She was willing to sacrifice herself in order to save the world. When she is outed to her mother as being the Slayer, and her mother saying, have you tried not being the Slayer? Maybe it's just a phase sort of thing. And her saying, no, this is my identity. And it just is. And you have to learn to accept it.
I feel like so I thought about Joyce's storyline really. But I don't feel comfortable saying yet that it is a lesson. I think that goes into season 3.
Yep.
Because the lesson there is you're going to get outed and you're going to get thrown the hell out of your house. Like that's where we're at.
I don't think that's I don't think it's a lesson. I think, but I mean, that does happen.
It does, but it's not a lesson because that's not a lesson you like. It's not done. Like
Yep.
that's ongoing into season 3.
But
The party that she has really is where that
Yep.
comes to a head.
Which we'll be talking about next week.
Yes. The other one, because it's a recurring theme, right? That from season 1, and it keeps coming up, and it happens a couple times in this season, in season 2, where like when her friend comes from LA, I think it's Lie to Me, and
Yep.
he
Scott.
yeah, he makes the decision that he knows he's dying, so he wants to become a demon. And even after Buffy explains, like, you're not there, like somebody else is driving the bus, he's like, don't care, and I'm willing to sacrifice you and everyone else like
Yep.
to get my way.
Yep.
And Buffy could have made a decision, like has had times like that, specifically with the Master, where she could have made the selfish choice.
Mm-hmm.
She understands what he's saying, but she's also not the right audience because she does make the right decisions.
Yep. You can understand the desire, but still make the right choice.
Mhm. And I think Buffy experiences something a lot of us do, in that, like, when we experience or hear something that we don't want to hear, that we don't want to experience, our initial reaction might be like, nope, mm-mm, no. Um, a very negative one, but then we'll turn around and do the right thing. Um, and there's a thing that they say, like, because people will be like, with racism, they'll like think this really negative thought and they'll catch themselves and be like, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Um, do not say that, do not act upon that. And there's a saying that, like, the thing that you think of first is not is what you were taught.
Yeah.
What you do or how you correct yourself after that is you overcoming that.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot with Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think especially teenagers experience that. Although I would argue, as an adult, I've experienced that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not doing this. And then goes and has to do the crappy thing that you don't want to do,
Yep. You're
like
like,
mow the lawn or something.
yep. Yep. All right. Well, I think this was a good little mini-sode. Is there anything more you want to touch base upon?
No, I think I will say we were about to go into my favorite of the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I love season 3. I'm biased because that's how I first started watching Buffy. Lover's Walk, which you will hear me gush about when we cover that episode nonstop. But yeah.
I love Faith so much. So season 3 with Faith is like a favorite, absolute favorite.
She has the best hair.
So,
Like, it
uh,
is healthy, it is thick. I want to touch it.
yes, touch her hair. Yes.
On that note, thank you for just Jossin.
By the way, I love your Buffy glitter that you were wearing
Oh,
today. Um,
thank you, thank you. Yes.
for viewers who actually watch us on YouTube, Sabrina is wearing a Buffy styled glitter, eye glitter, which is
From Trixie Mattel, and it's actually called Buffy, and there's hearts and crosses. I was hoping there'd be stakes in there, but I guess that would be hard to get across in glitter form.
so,
But
well, I think it's gorgeous.
thank you. I love it. And it also, so I don't think it picks up quite right on camera, but it is like the shade that in our little thumbnails,
Hmm.
that our writing is.
Oh, nice.
That's the same shade.
All right. Well, thanks for just Jossin with me.
Thank you. I will see you in the hellmouth next week.
All right.